Hello, everyone. I'm super excited to have a special guest today, Mary Zhou from Safetywing. And, we've talked about travel insurance in the past in my 12-week course on how to launch into a world school lifestyle. But this is one topic that comes up over and over again, either by the participants in my course or in my Facebook group or just travel friends in general, is travel insurance. It's not the sexiest topic out there, but I think once people are just about to launch, they start freaking out and going, oh my gosh, which travel insurance is the right one for me? Should I get travel insurance? Should I get international global health insurance? So it's a complicated topic, which is why we have Mary here today to help explain all of that and help. I have a whole bunch of questions. And if you're watching live, please ask the questions as well, or in the replay. And maybe we can get you in touch with somebody at Safetywing later to answer those questions, the ones that we didn't answer. But anyway, so Mary, super glad to have you here today. How are you today?
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm calling from Barcelona right now.
Awesome. It's one of our favorite cities. My kids love it there. I love it there too. So let us know a bit about your role at Safetywing, how long you've been there, and why you're working there and specializing in travel and health insurance.
Yeah, so I've been in the partnerships role at Safetywing for just a little bit over a year now. And I started actually for the same reason, for the same situation that you guys are in, which was I was traveling and I was so overwhelmed by health insurance. I had no idea how to tackle it. And I often pick jobs based on what I want to learn or challenge myself in that moment. So I just looked up, travel insurance companies that are hiring. And you mentioned that travel insurance is not the sexiest topic. And when I landed on the Safetywing website, it somehow immediately felt actually like accessible and even fun. Because if you have ever been to our website, you'll notice that we have bird avatars all over our website. And when you become a member, you also get your own bird. And we chose that because to represent the nomadic and free spirit of the people who use Safetywing. And my first reaction was, I have never seen a travel insurance company like this before, or any health insurance company.
Most of them are quite boring.
Yeah, a little bit, like Jurassic, like dinosaur era. And it just felt so refreshing to see a company that actually tried to make something that's a basic human need and right as simple as possible. So that's what attracted me. And yeah, I've been here ever since.
That is awesome. Okay. Because again, I've looked at a bunch of websites and they're pretty old fashioned, and I like how you make it a little bit more clear. And I like how you tend to focus on covering not just, short-term travelers, but longer term travelers, digital nomads, world schooling families, preferably for us. So I know that, we're going to talk about travel insurance and then also talk about global health insurance, because I think you guys offer both, but we need to kind of define these. But let's first talk about, the fact that health insurance in some countries, AKA the US, is very expensive. We have, I think, the most expensive medical system, healthcare in the world. I mean, yes, it's wonderful, but it's very expensive. In a lot of countries, they have a national health insurance that's paid for by tax dollars. But the US is one of the few, I think, one of the few, developed countries that doesn't offer that. So interestingly, though, is often travel insurance is less expensive than health insurance back home. Obviously doesn't cover everything, so that's why global health insurance might be a better option for something. And there's so many different plans out there. This is why it get complicated. And I know that some people travel without insurance and they just pay out of pocket. They think, they have a high risk tolerance. They think that the chance of something bad happening is low, and then they just pay out of pocket for medical care or lost luggage or whatever. And, that's a way to go, a bit risky, because things do happen. I have had travel insurance and then little things would happen and we would pay out of pocket, and it's very affordable, $30 or $50 or something. If my daughter fell down on a playground in Medellin, Colombia, and cut open her skin, she wouldn't get stitches, but we cleaned it up at the emergency room, or they did, and we got some antibiotics. And seriously, it was like $50 for all of that. It was pretty inexpensive. So let's talk about you know, why it's important to have insurance and also the difference between travel insurance and international health insurance. Do you want to briefly explain the two different ones?
Yeah, sure. I'll answer your first question about why it's important to get insurance. I often equate health insurance or our health to climate change. We all know it's important, but because we can't see it happening right in front of us, our human psychology tends to have a bias towards what is actually happening right in front of us. We prioritize what we can see, right? So all of us know, you know, climate change is serious and we know our health is serious, but if it's not like super urgent, we just put it off till later. And I think that's kind of part of the American culture as well, which is, you know, it's so go, go, go. Our work plates are so, you know, filled that none of us really have the time to think about, you know, stuff like health insurance. We kind of just like push it off till later, right? But especially if you have kids, I mean, it's just so helpful to have that peace of mind, right? So I think for me, it's about having that peace of mind. And we have had people before, like for example, one of our company customers, they decided to give a stipend instead of health insurance to their employees. Most employees don't end up actually using their stipends to purchase health insurance. So one member who got sick ended up having to do a GoFundMe to raise funds. So yeah, it's really important to have that peace of mind. And then in terms of our different products, so let me lay it out in the easiest way possible. So we have 3 solutions. One is called Nomad Insurance, and that is travel insurance. So this is not for routine or preventative care. This is for like medical emergencies when you are traveling, and also travel related costs such as you know, flight delays or lost luggage or lost passport. Then we have Nomad Health, which is like the regular health insurance as you think of it. So this is for routine and preventative care. This is for dental, vision, maternity, and this is not for, you know, like a trip. This is, you know, like a long-term plan. And Nomad Health, it's for specifically nomadic individuals who aren't, they're digital nomads, or, you know, they're not employed by a company that's already offering health insurance.
Right.
And then our third product is remote health. And this is for people who are working at companies. They can either be a remote worker or just, you know, stationary, but the company provides Safetywing through remote health.
So the
Yeah,
company
so
pays Safetywing to offer this as a benefit for their remote employees.
Precisely. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm guessing that travel insurance is the cheapest option. And then I don't know if there's a difference in the second and third one, but I'm sure it's much more because it's it covers you. I don't know if it's everywhere around the world or certain regions or certain countries, because I know that the price might depend on that. It's complicated. Also your age and all of that.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about pricing. First of all, there is a pricing calculator on our website. So you can type in your age, your dependents, where you are, and it will calculate all of that for you. The good news is we also do something that's a little bit unique, which is we group by pretty broad age bands. It can be like a decade to 15 years. So you'll know your price for the next decade or the next 15 years. And we did that on purpose because traditionally in the industry, your premium goes up like every year, you know, and we wanted to make sure that you have more predictability, more stability, you can budget for that. So that's the good news. So for Nomad Insurance, if you're from the age of 10 to 39, it's about $45 US for 4 weeks. If you have kids, each adult can add 1 dependent under 10 for free. Okay. For Nomad Health, it's about $123 US per month for a whole year. And
for a whole year for an adult or a kid?
Yeah, so that is for 18 to 39. That is the age band.
Sorry, 100 and something per year?
No, sorry, 120, around $120 US per month.
Per month, okay.
Yeah, for like a year-long plan. And that is the age group 18 to 39.
Okay.
If you have kids, under 18 is free. And if you're a student, under 24 is free. And you can add multiple dependents. There's no
Okay.
limit. That's kind of like the basic setup.
Yeah. But does it include pre-existing conditions?
That's a great question. So for travel insurance, which is Nomad insurance, because it's travel insurance, it's not related, right, to pre-existing conditions. So those would be excluded. However, for Nomad Health, which is our regular health insurance, I would say one of our biggest advantages is that we do cover pre-existing conditions. Out of all the applications that we get, about like 99% of applications get accepted, and the ones that are denied because of pre-existing conditions are few and far in between. I did ask our account managers about this before doing this interview to verify this, and you can actually ask if you can still get covered, just like disregarding the condition. Like you can ask for coverage for everything else, excluding coverage for that pre-existing.
So for $120 a month, if you have a pre-existing condition, it's still covered. That kind of surprises me. Because why would you insure somebody who has a pre-existing condition at that price? I don't know. You know, I have a participant in my course who had something come up a few months ago, and now it's a pre-existing condition. And it wasn't like I don't know if it was life-threatening, but you know, they were in the hospital for a few days and they applied to Safetywings and another one and were denied. He also told me that Safetywings and the other one had an issue with it being an annual plan. But I thought that's what your plans are for.
Sorry, so let's break this down. What do you mean by he had an issue with the annual plan? Like he thought there were
He told me he was denied by Safetywings and what other company. And again, he has a pre-existing condition, but he kind of told me the reason was because he was trying to book an annual plan. And that, I don't know, this is why I wanted to ask you, because it seems like this is what your plan is for. It's an annual, no, I forget all the names of your thing, but the annual global health insurance at $120 a month per 18 plus. That's what you do. So I don't know, he needs to call you guys back and find out what happened.
Yeah, please. It is an annual plan and I would love to help. You know, it's kind of hard to answer without knowing all the details. So, but I promise that if you leave a comment, you know, on the Facebook post, I'll make sure to answer each one or ask our customer care to, you know, help with the answers. But I do know that usually we do cover most pre-existing conditions, and it's usually more the exception than the majority that we don't. Yeah.
Okay. I've also had people ask me about maternity care, you know, if they become pregnant while they're nomading or world schooling or whatever. And, you know, if maternity care would be covered, like checkups, and also what happens if they have some issue with the ectopic pregnancy, you know, something wrong happening while they're traveling and nomading, would that be covered as well?
Yeah, so for the $120 price that I said earlier, that's kind of like the base plan under Nomad Health. So if you want maternity covered, that would be the premium plan. Premium covers dental, vision, and maternity. And that one is about $238 per month for that age band, 18 to 39.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Okay. So for what I understand, for some policies for international health insurance, you're not allowed to join more than 30 days in advance, I heard, because they want to make sure that, I guess, the insurance company, and I don't even know how I guess you have to trust the what your customers say about their pre-existing conditions, because, you know, I don't know how you would dig that up because of HIPAA laws, privacy laws, but so that's what I understand, because things can change within a month, right? But then for travel insurance, you could just do it like the day of the trip or after, right?
This is a great question. So for Nomad Health, which is our regular health insurance, you can apply up to 90 days in advance. So for us, it's not 30, it's 90. And then for Nomad Insurance, which is our travel insurance, you can apply at any point, and you can even apply after you've already started your trip. And it just takes 5 minutes and your coverage starts immediately if you're already abroad. If you're still at home, it will start after you begin your trip.
Okay, sorry, you want the Nomad Health Insurance to be a 90 days plus in advance of the trip, or within?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, within 90 days, like at most 90 days in advance.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, cool. All right, that sounds interesting. And then do you guys cover the whole world or just certain regions or certain countries?
Yeah, that's a great question. So almost the entire world. So for both Nomad Health and Nomad Insurance and Remote Health, we cover about 175 countries. Some institutions, count countries differently. So that's why I say 175 plus. It is more expensive for certain regions, such as the US, Singapore, Hong Kong, for example. Yeah.
So you would have people list the countries they're planning to go to.
So great question. You don't have to. So I'll give you an example. For Nomad Insurance, all you have to do is just enter one country, like you need to enter one destination, and then it will automatically become worldwide. However, it is helpful to enter each country because some countries require you like a visa or a letter of proof of insurance, and we will print that letter for you for that specific country. So
Okay.
it's helpful to enter all the destinations, but not necessary.
Okay.
And then the great thing about Safetywing is that because we cover almost the entire globe, you can take your benefits with you, your safety net with you, and you don't have to, worry about changing it out or doing anything, when you go to a new destination.
But sometimes we're spontaneous, and I know my bank, I try to tell my banks, they have an online thing where I tell them where I'm going to, so my debit card works or whatever. But sometimes we're spontaneous. We want to go to the next door company and maybe or next neighboring country. We might have forgot to tell you.
Yeah, so it's not like a SIM card. You don't have to change it out with each new country. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so I know that some foreigners who want to travel to the US, would they be able to use your insurance?
Okay, so that's a great question. And I do have my notes here about the US because they wanted to, make sure I gave it clearly. So for Nomad Insurance, this is our travel insurance. There is a add-on, a US add-on if you're going to be going to the US because it is a bit pricier for the US. So you will be covered in the US for the duration of your policy. And but the caveat is you can't be a US citizen or resident. So foreigners can use this.
Okay.
If you don't use the US add-on, you can still go there, but you will be covered every 15 out of 90 days. So it's for like short trips.
Yeah.
And this can be for US residents or US citizens. So you don't have to be a foreigner.
Sorry. US citizens too. Okay. So Americans who leave, because, a lot of times we're dropping our healthcare in the US if we're going to go travel for a year or whatever, because why pay that high thing?
Right.
But then sometimes we need to pop back in to visit family or a wedding or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. So you can still pop back in. And again, if this is confusing or you're still unclear about it, please leave a comment below and I'll make sure to answer it. And then for our Nomad Health, there is also a add-on option for the US, and you get covered 6 out of 12 months. And you can be a citizen, but not a resident.
Oh, okay.
So you're not living there.
Okay. So that's a good option for us Americans who want to nomad, and we're going to be gone. But in case we need to come back to the US quickly, whatever, for some reason, you'll cover us for 6 months.
Yeah, up to 6 months within the year plan.
Okay, that's a good option because I think people freak out and they have to find some gap insurance because obviously they're not, once a year in the US because of Obamacare, we go and try to get insurance. But if we're not paying for that, since we're abroad, if we have to go back to the States, okay, the health insurance one, not the travel insurance. Sorry, I keep forgetting what you call it. Okay, so let's see. What about, you talked about these extras, and I'm guessing high risk sports might have to pay extra. Yes.
No, you don't have to pay extra for sports. For sports, we will cover you so long as it is amateur. Like, for example, you're not in like a professional league. Right. And as long as you did, the basic safety requirements. So like you wore a helmet, for example, you weren't drunk driving, for example. I do have a list of the sports here. Some basic ones. So wave surfing is covered, kite surfing is covered, Scuba diving is covered if you are certified, or if you're not certified, you're covered up to 10 meters with an instructor. Safaris included, climbing is included, boat travel included.
Skiing?
Oh, sorry, I'm not sure about skiing. I can find out and get back to you.
Okay.
And sorry, I think I misread the kite surfing. Kite surfing is excluded. That's the only one excluded from the list that I just read.
Okay, because again, we ski in the Bulgaria every winter, and I know that the ticket cost, to ski that day covers some insurance in Bulgaria. But then if my daughters go off piste, and I tell her don't go into the trails, that's not covered, and I don't know, like would helicopter skiing if you're dropped in some remote area. Some people are super adventurous. I know a few world schooling dads who are into paragliding, when you jump off a mountain with a parachute.
Yeah.
Like with something like that. And these are professionals. I mean, or not professional, they're super good at it. They've been doing it all over the world. So I'm wondering if that would be included, because it's kind of an obscure sport, but honestly, I know 3 world school dads who do it.
Right. There is a good chance it is covered. I just have to double check and I'll confirm in the comments.
So it's okay. I think people should definitely check. You can send a message to the insurance company and ask, right?
Absolutely. And that's something that's really helpful about Safetywing, which is we don't have any bots. We only use real humans as customer care, and we actually reply in less than 1 minute always. So yeah, we're here to help you with any questions you have.
That is awesome. Okay, so yeah, it's great that you have the travel insurance for, just the basic stuff. And now I want to ask, a lot of people ask about if something happens, God forbid, you're in an accident, you go to the emergency room. I've heard that some insurance companies want you to call in advance to make sure that that hospital is approved, and they kind of want to know in advance to make sure that they will pay for it. And some hospitals want us to pay, or you guys want us to pay everything, and then you would reimburse us. So what happens with what's your policy on that?
Yeah, okay. So another great question. In terms of which hospital to go to, for all of our insurance plans, you are not required to go to a specific network. We actually, with Safetywing, you can go to any licensed doctor, clinic, or hospital, so long as they are licensed, and it will work there. For our travel insurance, we do have for the US, we do have a PPO network, and you can go there. It's recommended, but you don't have to. You can still go to any hospital.
Okay.
So that's a great thing. You're not limited by networks. And then in terms of payment, so I'll give both an emergency situation and a non-emergency situation.
Okay.
So for emergencies, first of all, you should always have your card with you in your wallet, so that, if you're not completely conscious, someone can find it and find a number to call. So that's definitely necessary. If it's an oh, yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to jump in. Also, have your policy on a thumb drive, and have it somewhere on the cloud, and have your responsible person back home that you have in your phone as ICE in case of emergency. Have them have your policy and other important documents.
Absolutely.
I want to add that, not just the card.
Yeah, that's a great tip. So if it's an emergency, you should definitely go ahead with the treatment, if it's life or death. And then within 72 hours, or as soon as you are capable, you should contact us, or your family member or your friend can do it as well. Contact us, and we will set up the guarantee of payment for you. And if it's an emergency, we will expedite it as well. The guarantee of payment is usually 72 hours, but if it's an emergency, we can expedite it to a day or just a few hours. If it's a non-emergency, you have 2 options. So if the payment is less than $250, you should pay and then claim later. If it's over $250, you should notify us, ideally at least 72 hours in advance, and we can set up direct billing for you. So that's how that works.
That is convenient, yeah, because I mean, God forbid you're in an accident, you're unconscious, and you're alone. Yeah, you have to think about those things, because I have heard of hospitals that will not let Americans or foreigners leave without paying the bill first. And I've also heard of some hospitals or clinics trying to gouge foreigners, of overcharging, and then saying you need to stay in our expensive hospital every night instead of a hotel until you pay, so.
Yeah, in that situation, we have a 24/7 hotline. So, call us if you're having that trouble. If you think you're being taken advantage of, we can give you advice on if there's another hospital you can go to. Yeah, because again, you can use Safetywing at any licensed
Okay, good.
hospital.
And a 24/7 hotline with a real person answering, not just voicemail hell kind of thing. Okay, so we've talked about again, I kind of am asking you questions as an American because we have the most complicated situation. I know some Europeans or maybe Australians, there's reciprocal health care in other countries depending. So definitely check if you're European or Australian or whatever country you come from. There might be reciprocal healthcare if you're traveling to another country. But we Americans, we have a very complicated and expensive health insurance situation. Okay, so you take people all over, you accept, customers all over the world. Let's see. So the complicated thing for us Americans, as I mentioned, is when we go home. After traveling for a year, we go back home. It might take a while for us to maybe get a job that has health insurance or whatever. So it's nice that you cover for those 6 months. And then, yeah, and then again, there's other gap insurance that I remember. I interviewed Andrew Jernigan, and I recommend everyone watch that because he gave some good tips as well. So I don't want to repeat those things. But let's see. So, yeah, so I guess, what do you think of local health plans when we're in a country for a while? Because we've spent time in the Republic of Georgia. This is during the pandemic. They had this special nomad visa permit, and we retired in Mexico because we were there for 14 months and we're like, we need to change of pace. So I did sign up for the local health insurance there because that was part of the nomad permit. But pre-existing conditions didn't kick in until we were there for 6 months, and we left before 6 months. So we had to pay out of pocket because my daughter all of a sudden started having some thyroid issues, which is no big deal, but we had to get blood tests and all that. Some have long waiting periods. So can people obviously pay for Safetywings, and that could be their coverage. The healthcare one, not the travel insurance, that could be kind of covered for, like, example, if you fall down, need stitches, or you have some pre-existing condition or whatnot. So is that what you would recommend?
Yeah, so good question. A couple of things. Some countries, if you are a resident, do require you to use their health insurance, like it's mandated. Some countries do not. Like, for example, the Philippines, it's optional, so you don't have to use your local provider. For the countries that require you to use their health insurance, we still recommend using Safetywing for a couple of reasons. If your local plan does not cover you, Safetywing can cover you. Or if they will only reimburse you to a certain amount, Safetywing can reimburse you for the remaining amount. Another reason why you should do it is because we have a much faster response rate. So for example, with the NHS in England, the UK is actually one of our top 3 customers, geographically speaking. And that's because people just really appreciate being able to skip those long waiting lines. And then lastly, you have your own personalized dashboard where you can check on the status of your claims. And it's just really, beneficial to have that personalized customer care experience versus, waiting on the phone for 2 hours. Our customer care will get back to you in less than 1 minute. And you can just check Trustpilot. People will say on there that I've gotten replied to in 30 seconds.
Okay, yeah. And this is what I wanted to mention, the Trustpilot thing, because Andrew mentioned shopping for insurance, check them on Trustpilot. And it's not just the sales process, because, a lot of companies are like, yes, we'd be happy to take your money. It's the claims process that you really need to look at to see whether or not other people had a good experience with filing claims. I don't know if you can answer this next question because it's very a US centric. We have world schoolers who sometimes they're traveling around the US in an RV, and yeah, it's still world schooling. You don't have to go abroad from your home country to be a world schooler. I mean, maybe they dip down into Mexico once in a while. But in the US, since a lot of health insurance is by state or regional, it's hard for these nomadic Americans in the US to get health insurance. Do you have any, I mean, I don't know if Safetywings would be the right thing because you're more for traveling abroad, but do you have any recommendations of what they should look at?
I think Safetywing would still work well because you're not limited by network. So you're not limited by, the region that you are in. You can still use it regardless of the state.
But it would only cover for 6 months, you said. Within.
Yeah, so that's the thing. If you're looking for longer than that, then I would recommend exploring alternative options. Yeah.
It's hard
because I would want what's best for you. Yeah, we would only be able to cover for that time.
Because if they have Kaiser Permanente or Blue Cross, Blue Shield, it's not. I mean, it's supposed to be for their state or region, and if they're across the country and something happens, who knows? Yeah, that's kind of a tricky thing, but at least it's good to know that you guys would cover for the 6 months. Okay, so yeah, I think some of these questions you've already answered, like short visits to your home country, that you do cover that. And then I guess you would declare your country in the plan, and what's your advice on if you get injured or you're very sick, is it better to recover in the country that you're in, or fly to a more developed country, or back to your home country?
Yeah, great question. So if it's possible to get treatment near you, we recommend staying where you are. But if it's not possible to access, a quality facility, we will cover the evacuation, but we will check for proof that you checked locally first. Like we will check that there were no local options. Yeah. Okay. Before reimbursing the claim. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So if we go to a country where it's, very poor medical facilities, maybe it's better for us to go to a different country. Okay, so maybe we can just mention some main features and benefits about Safetywings. I know you have the 3 different plans, but what is included in your offering compared to your competitors?
Yeah, great question. So I would say the competitive elements are definitely the pre-existing conditions. I had not heard of that before joining Safetywing. And I think you asked earlier why we do that. That's a good question. I'm actually not 100% sure, but I can find out. We also cover STDs and HIV treatment. We cover, some congenital disorders. We cover complementary therapies like acupuncture. And we do like 10 therapy, like mental health sessions per year. Other than that, so the cool thing about Safetywing is that in terms of like pricing and plan coverage, we're actually pretty similar to like the industry standard. What I would say where we stand out is other areas. And I'll name 3 that I think is most important to take away from this conversation. One is that we're definitely very future oriented. So we do much more than just health insurance, although that's our main solution. Our vision for this world is an entire safety net for people. So what I mean by that is right now, people's access to benefits depends on where they are born, which is out of their control, right? And if they want to move around a lot, it's really complicated figuring out your pension plan, your retirement plan, all that stuff. So our vision for the next 10 years is that we're going to build not just global health insurance, but global pension, remote retirement, remote therapy, teledoctor, so that you have this whole suite of borderless benefits that you take with you, because the world is just becoming so rapidly decentralized, and we now have the mobility, right, to choose where to live that makes us feel most alive. So Safetywing is really accommodating to that. So I would say we're very future oriented. Another thing is our customer care. That I have never seen the level of customer care at Safetywing compared to other insurance companies. And I might actually get a little bit emotional talking about this because it's the one thing I'm the most passionate about and I want the most to get across. because I'm actually, you know, I'm not an account executive. There are other people at my team that know more about health insurance than I do. But the reason why I take on these speaking opportunities is because I want to get the chance to tell people how much Safetywing cares about people and takes care of people. People don't usually talk to health insurance companies. Like, people hate that, but people talk to us all the time, and they actually stay in touch with us and send us pictures of their weddings and their babies, their first time getting glasses. And we even had a person send us a song that they wrote dedicated to us after we helped him evacuate and reunite with his girlfriend. So people actually stay in touch with us. Like, we build relationships with these people. And as an employee from behind the scenes, I'm treated with so much kindness and respect. It's the most positive workplace I've ever worked in. And I've had 10 different jobs, including internships since school. It's the most, like the least toxic workplace I've ever been in. Like, they really care about my mental health. They care about, you know, they care that I take my vacation days. And that's why I have the confidence to say that Safetywing will take care of its customers, because they actually take care of its internal people as well, even if the public doesn't know about it. So it's not just about taking care of the public, but then treating people behind the scenes, you know, in an opposite way. They actually practice what they preach. And the last thing that I think sets us apart is we're very quickly evolving. So from behind the scenes, I can tell you that we're constantly testing new things based on customer feedback and making new releases. So it's a good, one thing I recommend is that, you know, with everything I say today, you should still, you know, check with our customer care. If your trip is starting, you know, in 3 months or a year, still check with us what the policy is, because it's likely that some things will have changed, because we're constantly changing things based on the feedback we get. And I see that in the internal communications. And I don't know if any other health insurance company, you know, does that as much as Safetywing.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, I wanted to mention that new product that you have coming out to cover more than insurance and travel insurance. When I was at Bansko Nomad Fest, I gave a talk on, yes, you can be a digital nomad with kids. And then I connected with an academic there, because there was an academic panel about digital nomads. And she did interview me because she's doing some research for Safetywings on this new product. And I was really surprised when she started asking me these questions and letting me know this might be coming down the pipe with above and beyond health insurance, a pension, you know, and retirement benefits. And of course, she did ask me at the end, like, how much would you pay per month for this? And I was just kind of blown away, because obviously, as an American, I've been contributing to Social Security and Medicaid care or whatever ever since I started working. And so that will be my benefits when I retire. But, you know, Safetywings, you're basically becoming a country, you know, for us nomads, and offering these things. Obviously, we need to contribute to help pay for it. But, you know, that was really interesting and innovative that you guys are doing that. And I did take a peek at Trustpilot for you guys. And I do remember realizing that people who were complaining about, you guys already had rules in place and they didn't follow the rules, you know, like there was something that wasn't covered in the policy, and then they're complaining about it. And this is why it's so super important to read the fine print. And I really wish companies wouldn't have such fine print. I wish everyone, any company would be more transparent, you know, and have it in bigger, you know, like a PDF that's bigger, and not just all in one text block, but actually, you know, make it easily digestible, or have a video about it. So that's great that you guys really care about your customers. Now we do have some questions. Oh gosh, Sonia's asking a whole bunch of questions here. So let's see. So if I have travel insurance and have a medical emergency related to a pre-existing covered condition that is not covered, correct? For travel insurance, it's not, but for your nomad health insurance, it is. So Sonia, you guys should look at getting that plan. Also, if I have the travel insurance for a year and I'm injured within that year, is that injury now considered a pre-existing condition? I guess when you she's going to continue, that has come up. That's a good question, because if she renews a travel insurance policy for another year, is that previous injury no longer covered?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's a really good question. If it's already written on in the post, I will get to it. If it's not written, please write it down. So I will ask our customer care team that question. But that's a really good question. And I will say, I forgot to say this earlier, but our travel insurance plan, which is Nomad Insurance, it can go up to 364 days before renewal. So yeah, so if something happens within that year, obviously, you know, it's a new condition. It's not yeah, pre-existing, but I will check for the next year. Yeah, after it
Yeah,
renews.
and I'm guessing because I've heard a lot of policies, I don't know, I can't even come up with a pre-existing condition, but yeah, you get an injury or something and you need treatment, you know, ongoing treatment, and then the next year you do the travel insurance, it's not going to be covered because it's going to be pre-existing. So that's when she should choose your Nomad health insurance, you know, the health plan versus the travel, I'm guessing. Another related question, if I have Nomad insurance can get COVID, Nomad insurance can get COVID, those expenses are covered or not? What if I experience extended COVID related problems, long COVID? Oh, good question. Because I heard a lot of health insurance or travel insurance don't cover COVID any longer because it's so pervasive.
Yeah, I'm so happy to answer that. Yes, we do cover COVID under travel insurance. We also cover vaccines for COVID. And then for Nomad Health, which is health insurance, we cover COVID, just not vaccines. So that's the only difference between the two.
Really? Okay. So even though COVID's been around the world a bunch of times, and if we're vaccinated or not, I mean, you would pay, well, a lot of the vaccines in the US are free, the COVID vaccine.
That's
Yeah, but interesting. I did get a COVID shot in France because I was traveling to another country where there was a lot of COVID, and I had already had one shot in the US. So, and it was free, kind of interesting. My French friend was shocked that the French government would give me a shot. Yeah. Paragliding covered under travel insurance. So Sonia, she's going to check. I asked that question. Maybe I think she asked a whole bunch of questions that I've already asked you. Another one, if I have travel insurance and in an accident and cannot be admitted to a hospital until payment is made, how quickly will payment be made? Okay, you already answered that question. If I have travel insurance and return to the US for a short time, how many days am I covered? And you said the 15 days, right? Out of
yeah,
9?
for the US, yeah. 15.
Travel insurance, but the Nomad insurance for 6 months.
Yeah.
Years. Okay, good. And then mental health coverage under the travel insurance. You answered that question. Yeah, let me ask more about that because again, one of my daughters has ADHD, which, you know, we've managed while traveling. I was able to get her medication in Spain, in Mexico, but not in the Republic of Georgia because I don't know, it's a controlled substance. And she was doing an online school at the time and she did very poorly those months because she wasn't focusing. And that was a pain. And, you know, when we're in the US, mental health is covered just because her ADHD, it's good to have her check in with somebody once a month and whatever. But one of the reasons why it's hard to travel with her is a lack of that. So if we get your Nomad health insurance, that would be covered. And then would it be for a local therapist or an online therapist, or how would that work? Because
yeah, so it can,
before I say that, a lot of the US therapists, they're licensed by the state, not the whole US. And so even if we left Washington State, they could not even do telehealth appointments because, you know, we're out of state and they're only licensed to help people when we're physically in that state. Sorry. So
yeah, so it can be in person or virtual. Yeah, so you don't have to, you don't have to be there physically. Yeah, to have it.
We can hire any therapist around the world virtual.
Licensed, yeah, so long as they're licensed, yeah.
Licensed in their state or country.
Yeah, correct.
That would be awesome. That's great. Just to have somebody for her to check in with once in a while. Sonia's asking if dental insurance is covered under travel insurance. I would say no.
Not travel, but regular health insurance, yes. Yeah, under the premium plan.
The premium plan. Got it. Okay, Sonia's asking some great questions. And again, Mary, I'm not sure if you're a member of our group, so join it so you can answer those questions.
I actually deactivated my social media, but I'll reactivate it to answer the questions.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, I find that the world schoolers, I mean, whether you love or hate Facebook, it's kind of the place where world schoolers connect because we have groups. The Facebook groups is, I think, what's really good for that. I mean, LinkedIn is good for networking professionally. And I don't know, Twitter's going crazy right now with what Elon Musk is doing, changing the name of it and whatnot. Okay, any other value added benefits? Because you mentioned the mental health, you mentioned also, what did you say? What was it, acupuncture, chiropractor? I forget. What-
Yeah, so there's the mental health therapy, and then there's also complementary therapies like chiropractor, acupuncture, acupressure, physical therapy. And then we also do psychiatric treatment. We cover that for 30 days.
Yeah, yeah. If we have a mental breakdown while we're world schooling, it's probably the opposite. We're going to be so like, depending. Take my course and figure out how to do it properly without stress, because a lot of people wing it and they make a lot of newbie mistakes and then they stress out. But if you learn from my program and this Facebook group and all the interviews I do, then you'll know and be relaxed and can enjoy your travels. That's what I'm thinking about.
I
Okay.
actually have the plans drawn up here on my computer, so I can just read off really quickly some of the other benefits that I haven't mentioned yet. So for Nomad Health, which is the health insurance, surgery is covered, anesthesiologist, sorry, that word is hard to pronounce, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah, prescription medication, inpatient services, diagnostic studies services such as lab tests, x-rays, renal failure, organ and tissue transplant, oncology, cancer medication treatment, HIV/AIDS treatment, emergency dental coverage, rehab, nurse care at home, medical equipment, ambulance transportation, evacuation, let's see. Hospital cash benefit. Okay, so if you stay at a hospital overnight for up to 30 nights, you get $150 in cash for every night.
What do you mean?
And
cash?
then
To pay for the hospital?
yeah, it's just like a stipend that we give to you when you stay overnight at a hospital.
To pay for the costs of the hospital, yes? Or
I actually
food or extra stuff you might need?
that's a good question. I think it can anything. Yeah, I think even if I think even if you're already like taken care of financially, like your bed and everything, will still give you that bonus. Yeah,
Okay,
that
maybe you
150.
pay for again, you can't work or something because of those things. Interesting. Okay.
And lastly, a second medical opinion if you want to go to a second doctor to get a second opinion. We'll also
Again, this is why depending on what people pay for health insurance in the US, and again, for a large family, this does add up, right? I mean, it's the adults, and then you have certain things for kids under 18 are free depending on how many, but it can add up. But also compare it to what you're paying for insurance in the US. Now, in the US, if you work for a good company, you have good health insurance, right? But if you are an independent contractor or self-employed, it's very, very expensive. So I keep telling people who say, oh, I can't world school because it's too expensive. And I just say, actually traveling abroad and world schooling is cheaper than living in my hometown in the US. And health insurance can be cheaper than if I was a self-employed individual in the US paying for it here. So people don't realize that because the healthcare costs are not as great when you're abroad, especially if you're in lower cost of living countries, which is I typically do. And then I have had a live-in nanny in Medellin, Colombia, and Mexico for $400 a month. I mean, you can't get that as a single mom, that's not rich. This is how I do it. I hack it, geographic arbitrage.
Absolutely. And just to add one thing, it is a bit cheaper if you're working for a company. So as I mentioned, companies can offer Safetywing to their employees. So that's a cheaper option if you are employed, and you don't have to be a full-time employee. You can be a contractor, a freelancer, a part-time employee through that company, and you will still get Safetywing.
Yeah, that is awesome because I used to work for an online global school as an independent contractor just because it was a startup, it was new, and the employees were all over the world. And they did say they were going to look into an international remote, health plan, but I didn't stay there forever. So that is good for companies like that. And yeah, so I mean, what would you recommend for a world schooling nomad family for health insurance? I mean, I guess if they have pre-existing conditions or want to get regular treatment while they're traveling to get the nomad health, if they're just wanting emergency coverage, then the travel insurance, that's how I look at it in my brain. I don't remember your names.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I would recommend as well. Nomad Insurance and Nomad Health, our travel and our regular health insurance, they're definitely complementary for each other. So, if you want like a comprehensive, coverage, then you can do both. And yeah, if you're employed, then I would use Remote Health, which is for like remote workers or employees. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, let's talk about deductibles. Do you have them? And does it depend on the policy?
No, so it's 250. That's the deductible for all of the products, for travel insurance, for regular health insurance. Yeah.
Oh, because there's usually in other health insurance plans I've looked at, you have these different levels. I mean, I guess your different level is your premium thing for that. So how do we file a claim? God forbid we have to.
Yeah. So if it's not an emergency, if you have to file a claim, if it's over 250, you do it online. We have a form, and try to do it at least before 72 hours, and then we can approve it for you, and you have direct billing. If it's less than that, less than 250, you will pay first and then submit a claim later. And the claim reimbursement process, it is a little bit different between the two products. For travel insurance, it will be 30 to 45 days. Claims reimbursement. And then for health insurance, that claims process is 7 to 15 days. But I have seen in some cases, it can be as fast as 3 business days.
Okay. Yeah, because it does take a while. All right. So again, you'll do direct billing if it's an emergency and all that good stuff. Okay, I think a lot of the questions on my list have been answered. Now, from what I understand, Safetywings has another company called World Trips that underwrites Safetywings. How does that whole thing work?
Yeah, so yeah, it's exactly that. World Trips is the underwriter for Nomad Insurance, which is our travel insurance.
Okay.
And then there is a different carrier. Their name is Vumi, and they underwrite the regular health insurance. And that is why there are different claims time frames for claims.
Okay, good. Somebody had posted a question in another comment. I was talking about travel insurance recently, saying that she's heard some mixed things about Safetywings with repatriation coverage following a medical event with Safetywings, and she wants to know what is covered if you need to be flown home to end the trip or continue treatment in your home country.
Yeah, so it's like I said earlier, it should be a necessity that your relocation. So long as it's proven that, there were no, acceptable options in your local area, then we will cover the evacuation. Yeah.
Okay. So you got to try locally first, and depending how, serious the issue is. Okay. So yeah, again, I think it's important not only for us parents to know about all the policy differences, but tell our partner, spouse, if we have one, or I don't know, just other people, because again, if I don't know, knock my head and get unconscious and need to go to the hospital and I'm out of it for 72 plus hours, I guess I need someone else to kind of be my advocate there.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I would say we were talking about the fine print earlier. We definitely try our best to avoid that as much as possible. Like I personally find our policy plans pretty easy to read. Like it's large font, there are different colors. It's not just like a wash of black and white. So yeah, please definitely check it out or contact our customer care. And yeah, I promise we'll do our very, very best to make it as simple to understand as possible.
Okay, awesome. Sonia's asking, so if I have a dental injury, it's not covered under travel insurance?
That's a good question. Let me just very quickly check because I do have the
Okay,
plan.
or if you could just join the group and answer it later.
Absolutely.
Again, I don't want it to take forever.
Because
Esther
it's an emergency, so I just wanted to double check.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So if you could just check, sorry, I missed what you said, but if it's an emergency, a dental injury, she falls down, breaks her tooth or something. And then Esther's asking, are reimbursement direct deposit any differences with international bank account? Good question. Like, are you going to mail a check in the mail?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't think so. I think we do like direct deposit, and it is like according to whatever currency you prefer. Yeah. And we cover if there's like a currency exchange fee, which does happen sometimes, we also cover that as well.
Okay, that's nice. All right, well, Mary, I've asked you a ton of questions. Is there anything I forgot to ask you, that is important that people should know about Safetywings, compared to competitors, or, what's specific for families? Because I'm kind of surprised that you don't have such, like little kids are free, because they're the ones who are a bit more injury prone, I mean, maybe they won't have, get sick as often, maybe, or not sick as often. I mean, I do know, unfortunately, of a Worldschool dad who came down with cancer while they were nomading, and I have no idea if they were insured or not. But that's most people are fine. And again, I don't want people to be so afraid of what could happen. Most of us are fine, but once in a while, accidents happen. Things go wrong. And this is why you should, at least financially cover yourself by having some type of insurance. But is there anything I forgot to ask you before we start?
Well, they were great questions. I feel like we covered a lot of ground. I guess the last thing is that I feel like traditionally people have a very cynical relationship with health insurance, and for good reason, because health insurance is such a headache, administrative headache to deal with. And I just want people walking away from this, if they only take away one thing, is that I think the thing that differentiates Safetywing from others is that you actually feel like we're on your side, and that we're not a insurance company that looks for reasons to deny you. We're not looking to scam you. If we can, if we're able to cover you, we will cover you, and we will try our best to help you get there.
Okay, but read the fine print, everyone. Sonia did ask, and I think you mentioned, does either insurance cover cancer treatment? And you said the Nomad Health would, right?
Yes. Yeah. Nomad Health, you are required to submit like your medical history in your application. The application takes only like 5 to 10 minutes if you have all your documents. You are required to submit it for review. But like I said, 99% of applications get approved. So it's few and far in between where a pre-existing condition gets you denied. And even then you can still ask for like coverage for other things outside of.
Right, but I think she's saying, like, if you're healthy and you've never had cancer, and I'm guessing you have like a questionnaire, have you had this, have you had that, have you had that, and then you're approved, and then while you're traveling you feel a lump in your breast or something, and you go to get it checked out and it's breast cancer, God forbid, would that be covered?
Yes, yeah, and you will also see that in our plan. It's like on the very first page, so you'll see it right away that you'll be covered for cancer treatments, cancer medication, and it'll say the amount as well. I don't have the exact number, but it'll give the amount to which you're covered.
Yeah, because please let us know the amount, because I guess if that happened to me, I would need to figure out, am I going to stay in the country I'm at and get treatment here, and then hopefully Safetywings will pay it. I may or may not be able to stay in that country for a long time due to, being on a tourist visa. Usually, I mean, most of us are on tourist visas. And again, I keep telling people, when you show up to the Immigration Border Patrol, don't tell them you're going to be working, even if you're working online, just say you're there for tourism. But obviously, if you're a resident, you're probably going to get local health insurance. Yeah. But yeah, that would be my scare, is like, should I stay here, get treatment, or should I go back to the US or wherever I'm from? I may or may not have health insurance, because in other countries, a lot of world schoolers, digital nomads will withdraw from their health insurance plan, their tax obligations, because they're going to be traveling for a year. And if they have kids in school, they'll withdraw them from school and lose any benefits they have from the government, whether it's health insurance or whatever. So that's the scary part about, say I'm in South America and I come down with breast cancer, God forbid, and I'm there for a few months, but I need continual treatment. I'm going to be thinking, if I'm from the Netherlands, should I return to my country where I gave up health insurance?
So it's 1.5 million. That's the max limit, not for cancer, but for all the all the things that are covered. So it's 1.5 million for all the things like
It'd be interesting. I mean, we've heard of medical tourism, right? So going to a certain country to get treatment. I don't know if I'm in a country where it's doesn't have good cancer care and I don't have insurance back in my home country, like the US or the Netherlands or whatever. Would it make sense for me to fly to a country that has good medical care, but not super expensive? You know, a lot of people go for medical tourism to get a knee replacement or whatever. Can that work, or would you consider that medical tourism?
No, you can go to a different country, and that is kind of the benefit of Safetywing following you for 175 plus countries, is that you will have that guaranteed quality of care. Yeah, and you don't have to worry about network exclusions or I have to go to this specific hospital. Yeah, so you have many more options available to you.
Yeah, so for example, maybe I'm in Bali, Indonesia, and I come down with breast cancer, for example, and their medical care may or may not be great. And it might make sense for me to go instead to, I don't know, Singapore is kind of expensive, but Malaysia has really good medical care and the cost of living is not that high. So that would probably be what I would do, I guess. Okay, awesome. Okay, well, we have, yeah, so some questions here. And again, a lot of people watching this, well, they're going to be, some people are watching, but other people watching the replay, they're working right now. So they may, I encourage everyone to, you know, ask questions. Mary will hopefully join the group and can see the questions and can answer later. Obviously, you can go to Safetywing's website. Now, as a digital nomad, I, you know, have this group. I've been a nomad for almost 7 years, but I just started trying out being affiliates for companies that I like. So I will put my link for my affiliate to be a Safetywings ambassador. If you click it and you do end up joining Safetywings, you won't have to pay any more money, but maybe Safetywings will send me $5. I don't know how much you pay, but I'm kind of trying anything out there that companies that I have used or believe in, understand. So I will put that in the links. So yeah, thank you so much, Mary, for joining us and answering these very complicated questions. Yeah, I just encourage everyone to keep asking questions and Mary hopefully can answer them.
Yeah, I will definitely join the group. And if you, you know, I'll try to answer all the questions. And if I haven't, you know, feel free to tag me and get my attention and I'll make sure I answer them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming back to Facebook for us.
You're welcome.
There's pros and cons, but again, the Facebook groups are awesome. They're gold mine of information. So, and it's great to network and connect with each other there. So thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Hey, thanks for watching. I'm Lizz Quain. My twins and I have been traveling and world schooling for about 7 years, and I'm happy to share our experiences. Make sure to check out all the other videos on my channel. I have a playlist of interviews of fascinating world school families and service providers who share lots of info and wisdom about world schooling, traveling, and the digital nomad family lifestyle. If you're new to world schooling or have recently launched and are struggling because you're kind of winging it, if you need some help, I do have a super comprehensive 12-week program on how to world school and travel extensively as a family. I share lots of info on travel logistics, where to go, how to find community, how to immerse yourself into local cultures, and the variety of ways to educate your kids while traveling above and beyond homeschooling them yourself, and much, much more. Make sure to watch my free 2-hour masterclass on how to become a world schooling trailblazing family. That is a great way to learn how to get started. I'll include a link in the description with more info. Thanks and happy trails.